Remember when your living room was your movie theater? Or that spinning card wheel that was basically linked in before the internet? Let's take a trip back and rediscover 10 everyday objects you probably forgot about, but once couldn't live without. VCR. What if you could rewind time with the press of a button? Back in the day, video cassette recorders were the cornerstone of home entertainment. These magical machines let you record TV shows and movies onto magnetic tapes, meaning you didn't have to miss your favorite program just because you weren't home. This idea, called time shifting, was a total game changer. Blockbuster nights were built around VCRs in the 80s and 90s, but as DVDs arrived and digital streaming took over, VCRs slowly faded out. By 2016, the last VCR rolled off the assembly line, making way for a fully digital future. Dial-up internet. Ever heard the sound of the internet dialing into existence? It wasn't quiet. Before Wi-Fi and lightning-fast fiber connecting to the web meant plugging into a phone line and waiting for that screechy handshake sound. This was dial-up, a gateway to the internet through your telephone. Popular in the 90s, dial-up modems translated digital info into sounds to travel over phone lines. But they were painfully slow, topping out at 56 kilobits per second. Eventually, DSL and cable broadband brought speed and silence, pushing dial-up into the digital graveyard. Floppy disks. What could you possibly store on a disk that fits in your shirt pocket? Not much, but it was enough. Floppy disks were once the gold standard for saving and sharing files. They came in 8-inch, 5.25-inch, and the very 90s 3.5-inch formats. Though they couldn't hold much, just a few megabytes at most, they were essential before USBs and cloud storage. Once hard drives got cheaper and CDs arrived, floppies lost their place. Today, they're more of a tech relic than a storage solution. Pagers. How did people get in touch before texting was a thing? Beep, beep. Call me back. Pagers, or beepers, were tiny message receivers worn on belts and clipped to pockets. You couldn't talk through them, but you could get a buzz or a beep and know someone needed you. Doctors, EMTs, and even teenagers swore by them during the 80s and 90s. But with the rise of mobile phones, pagers became outdated and sometimes associated with shady business. Today, they're mostly a footnote in communication history. Cassette tapes. Ever make your own mixtape for someone? That was peak romance. Audio cassettes were the soundtrack of the 70s and 80s. Invented by Philips in the 60s, these little plastic boxes held magnetic tape that captured music and memories alike. Thanks to the Sony Walkman, you could listen to your favorite songs on the go. And unlike vinyl, you could record your own mixes. But as CDs, MP3s, and streaming took over, cassettes became collector's items rather than everyday essentials. Answering machines. What happened when no one was home to pick up the phone? A robot took a message. Answering machines revolutionized communication by letting callers leave voice messages. They date back to the early 20th century, with practical versions appearing in the 1930s. At first, companies feared they'd kill phone traffic, but by the 80s, answering machines were everywhere, from kitchens to corporate desks. Now we rely on voicemail built into our smartphones, leaving these devices behind. PDAs, personal digital assistants. Before smartphones did everything, what kept your life organized? 2 words: pocket computer. PDAs were early digital organizers. Compact devices with calendars, notes, and contact lists. Psion debuted one in 1984, but the term PDA stuck after Apple released the Newton in 1992. Some had styluses and basic apps. By the 2000s, they could even connect to the internet. But once smartphones arrived, PDAs quickly became redundant and extinct. Yellow pages. Need a plumber or a pizza place? Before Google, you'd flip through this big yellow book. The yellow pages were business directories printed on, you guessed it, yellow paper. The idea began in the 1880s, offering categorized listings from A to Z, organized by service type. For over a century, it was the go-to guide for local services. But once online search engines took over, these phonebook giants went out of print. In some places, like the UK, they've stopped printing them altogether. CRT screens. Remember when TVs were deeper than they were wide? That's CRT for you. Cathode ray tubes powered TVs and monitors for decades. Developed in the late 1800s, CRTs used electron beams to light up a phosphor-coated screen, creating images in real time. They were durable but massive, heavy glass, big backs, and buzzing static. Flat screen technologies like LCD and OLED eventually took their place. Today, CRTs survive mostly in retro gaming dens. Those clunky boxes weren't just heavy, they were practically furniture. Moving one took muscle, and forget mounting them on a wall. But despite their size, CRTs delivered rich, deep colors and crisp images that some enthusiasts still swear by today, especially for retro gaming. In classrooms, bedrooms, and living rooms across America, the glow of a CRT screen was a familiar comfort. You didn't just watch TV, you experienced it through the soft flicker of analog magic. Rolodex. What did people swipe through before digital contacts existed? Cards on a wheel. The Rolodex was a rotating card file that lived on desks everywhere from secretaries to CEOs. It was invented in the 1950s by Hildur Nielsen and became a business staple. Each contact had its own card, easily flipped through to find a number or name. In the 80s, having a thick Rolodex was a badge of honor. But with smartphones and synced contact lists, the Rolodex is now a museum piece. Before apps managed your contacts and synced them to the cloud, the Rolodex was your real-world social network. Business cards were meticulously typed or stapled to the cards, and flipping through it was a daily ritual for many professionals. It wasn't just a tool, it was a status symbol. A full Rolodex meant you were connected, important, and in demand. Today, it's more of a quirky desk accessory, a reminder of how far we've come in managing relationships with a swipe instead of a spin. Like that blast from the past? Then keep the nostalgia train rolling and check out our next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps us keep the rewind spinning.